What's up, guys? We got something a little bit different today. This is an episode that I'm very, very, very excited about. This is something that I guess maybe been a part of my life since childhood. Sunday dinner, right? Now.
So I says, Rick,
What the hell was that?
you don't need to pack bags for where you're going, kid.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Yeah, real nice to see you too, kid. I heard you was making dinner, so I figured I'd come by.
Well, we're doing some filming today, so I guess come on in and... Oh, you got some crap on your table there. Make yourself comfortable, huh? So growing up, despite the fact that I'm only half Italian, half-breed, yeah, thank you, Vito. I think my father first showed me how to make sauce. Maybe I was 7 or 8 years old, and ever since then, I kind of took it over and put my own spin on it, and tried different things. And the point I'm at now, it's I feel like I've perfected it, at least in my own opinion. There's certain things that I do that I feel that are specific that I'm really excited to share with you guys. Obviously, you guys know me, in particular from a nutritional perspective. So there's certain things that I do to, I hate even saying this, right? Like I'm not making bodybuilder friendly Sunday dinner, right? That's not what this is, because that just sounds like a shitty Sunday dinner, right? And that's not what this is. But there's small things that I do that have zero impact, okay, on the taste of this or how this comes out. And maybe I'm biased, but I think I'm a pretty tough critic of myself, and I would put my own up against anybody's. But I'm sure everybody feels that way. I'm not gonna call this an Italian Sunday dinner, right? Because this is really an Italian-American thing, right? This is something that was kind of spawned by Italian-American immigrants who came to America. And I don't know the full history behind this, but I know that this turned into a tradition, right? But I'm not gonna call this a genuine Italian dinner. This is really an Italian-American thing. Somebody's a poser. How do I even know you anyways? Well, that's funny you should ask that. I actually go way back with your mother. What do you think about that? Anyways, so to kind of give you guys an idea of how I go about it, I start off by making the sauce. As the sauce is getting going, I make the meatballs. In my sauce, I like meatballs because I like the flavor that it gives the sauce. I also will put in pork chops because as a bodybuilder, I'm not gonna be eating a ton of meatballs, right? Nutritionally, they're not gonna really fit my style. Pork chops, they're really pretty lean. There's a lot of meat on them. And it's basically a way for me to put a lot of protein into this meal. I'm not gonna sit down and, of course I'm gonna make pasta with this, but I'm not gonna have a massive portion of pasta. But by the time I have a little bit of pasta, quite a bit of protein from the pork chops, and maybe a meatball or so, for me, it's really a way to kind of have a nice meal and still hit good bodybuilding macros. Now, with all the, between the meatballs, pork chops, some people argue that with the addition of meat, that makes it gravy.
Who said gravy?
I said, well, dude, come on, you know that. Some people call it gravy and some people like to call it sauce.
Yeah, well, some people like to end up at the bottom of the East River too.
All right. Chill out. We're just talking gravy versus sauce. It's not that vital.
Yeah, I'll relax on my balls.
Dude, we're filming here. Keep it PG, okay? This is a family show. You know something? I got a job for you.
A job for me? Why, somebody hurt you?
Dude, nobody hurt me. I just need you to cut up some garlic for the sauce. Can you handle that?
Okay. Bring it in.
Ah, jeez, hi. Let me get some garlic for this guy. Give him something to do before he makes me nuts. There.
That's it.
All right, stop interrupting, will you? Jeez, let me talk.
Watch the Don go to work.
While he's doing that, let's start making the sauce. Without further ado, Sunday dinner. First thing we're gonna do, I've got this pot on. We're gonna sear the pork chops first. We don't have to, and you could just literally throw them in the sauce raw. And of course, you know, they're gonna sit in there for hours and they're gonna cook and cook and cook and cook till they just fall off the bone and fall apart. But sometimes if you sear them first, could make for more of a rich sauce. Gravy, Vito will go nuts. And put a little bit of salt. On these. Just gonna brown them up a little bit. So with the pork chops in the pot, right, we're gonna let those sear, let those cook a little bit. Let's talk about tomatoes, right? Because this is a big thing when it comes to making sauce, right? What kind of tomatoes you like. I've used so many different brands of tomatoes, everything from Sclafani to Tudoroso to Cento to all sorts of different DOP ones, right? Which are, you know, guaranteed to be from a certain region in Italy, right? They're genuine, certified San Marzano tomatoes, blah, 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 blah. I've used a lot of different tomatoes, is what I'm telling you. These, okay, these were recommended to me by a friend of mine who owns a restaurant. He said, dude, get the Valoroso tomatoes. Now these, they're not even San Marzano tomatoes. They're not even from Italy. They're grown in California. I think they're technically pear tomatoes. These are the best tomatoes I've ever used. They blow away all the other ones. They got a nice firm texture, and you could literally just eat these things out of the can. They're fantastic. And this being a number 10 can, right? This got the net weight on this, 6 pounds, okay? Well, 6 pounds, 7 ounces. So almost got 6.5 pounds of tomatoes in here. This is a big can. I think you need, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the, you know, typical size ones you see to equal one of these. This can, I think, is like $4, all right? So you're not gonna beat it on price or on taste and quality. These are unbelievable. So what we're gonna do once the pork chop's finished, because we're gonna get kind of, you know, some stuff at the bottom of the pot from the pork chops cooking and a bunch of flavor and the oil that's in there. We're gonna dump some onion in there. Once the onion cooks down, we're gonna add the tomatoes, and that's gonna be the base of our sauce. We'll add a little bit of garlic, a little bit of parsley. While that starts cooking together, we're gonna make the meatballs. So while the pork chops are cooking, let's chop up some parsley. Now, I know being an Italian-inspired dish and all, most people usually use Italian flat leaf parsley. I happen to like curly parsley.
Why, you got some kind of problem with flat leaf?
No, Vito, I just like curly better.
Or maybe you're a little funny. Maybe you only like the fancy stuff. Maybe you're a little fancy, is that what it is?
Yes, Vito, that's it, I'm funny, all right? Let me wash this. If I chop up parsley, I use a little bit of the stems. Believe it or not, the stems got a lot of flavor in them. And if you sit there trying to pick all the leaves off and stuff, you're gonna be there forever anyways. Because this is gonna go in the meatballs, we wanna kind of chop this up. Not too fine, but we don't want massive pieces in there. So I'm gonna grab a bowl and set aside a little bit of parsley because I like throwing some on at the end. But got about a handful here, I'm gonna throw that. Oh, by the way, I've got about 2 pounds of ground meat. You could use something a little bit fattier if you want, but this is 90% lean. For me, it's a good balance between being on the leaner side, but still being flavorful enough with a good enough texture. The way that I make my meatballs is probably different from what you guys might be used to, and I think it's one of the reasons that the meatballs come out so good. This was something I read in a cookbook years ago. It's an Italian chef. A lot of people, when they make meatballs, they'll just use straight up breadcrumbs, right? The way that she had recommended to do it was to cut up a loaf of bread, right? Soak the bread in milk, wring the milk out, add it to the meatballs, right? And then the rest of the ingredients. I've been doing it that way ever since, and the meatballs come out unbelievable. If you use straight up breadcrumbs, sometimes it could be a little dense, right? And the meatballs could be a little tough. Using the bread like this, it makes the meatballs lighter, and fluffier and just perfect. So anywhere where the bread is too crusty, like an end like that, get rid of. The bottom is pretty crusty, so I'll probably take the bottom off it, but I'll leave the top crust on. So I'll use these pieces and I'm gonna cube them up. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I don't do dairy. This oat milk, it's Whole Foods 365 brand, is probably the closest thing I've found to like regular whole milk yet. It's really rich, it's full tasting, doesn't taste like weird or, you know, imposter-ish. So that works perfectly here. I still do use some breadcrumbs. The only reason I do is because doing it this way, the meatballs are a lot more moist. And if you use the breadcrumbs, you could adjust basically the moisture level of it. These pork chops are ready to come out. What I'll do is I'm just gonna turn the heat down to like a low, almost simmer. And I'm gonna put a handful of chopped up onion in there, add some salt to it. I'm not looking for the onion to brown. I'm just looking for it to soften up. And this might sound weird to you, right? This whole concept. Trust me. I'm just gonna let that sit for a few minutes. In the meantime, let's talk about meatballs and what we put in, right? So never, under any circumstances, are you to put onion in your meatballs. Onion goes in meatloaf. If you put onion in your meatballs, you're just making little balls of meatloaf. Don't ever do that. That's terrible, right? This is 2 pounds, okay, of ground beef. I've got 1 clove, a little larger clove of garlic, right? You wanna mince it up pretty fine. Why? So that it distributes to as much of the meat as possible. If you leave it in large chunks, you're gonna get, you know, maybe 1 chunk somewhere in a meatball and then maybe another meatball doesn't even have a piece of garlic in it, right? So you want it to make its way throughout, but also too, don't put too much, right? You don't want to just fucking overload it with garlic. Blech. So a little bit of garlic. We're gonna put whole eggs in there, right? 3 of them, which is a little more than a typical recipe might call for. Believe it or not, I think it was Mario Batali. I had read a recipe one time for meatballs and he used quite a few whole eggs because he wasn't using cheese in his meatballs, right? Now, a lot of meatballs you'll use Parmesan cheese. I don't want Parmesan cheese in my meatballs because I don't eat cheese. But with the, you know what, let's put 4. With the addition of more whole eggs, you'll never miss the cheese. So all it's gonna be is meat, eggs, parsley, garlic, the bread, and a little bit of breadcrumbs if we need to adjust the firmness of them. Simple, okay? They usually recommend to leave this for quite a while, but you don't want it to just turn to mush. So just give it a little stir here and there, and once it's on the softer side, you're supposed to use bread that's been sitting out, right? Or that's a couple days old. I didn't think far enough ahead, right? I bought that loaf yesterday, but last night I left the bag open and kind of let some air get to it, and it kind of dried it out a little bit and, you know, stiffened it up. That's what she said. Yes, Vito, that's what she said, very good. So, although we've got the garlic in the meatballs, we still need a little bit of garlic to put in the sauce. So, Vito, how you making out with that garlic?
Hey, don't rush me, kid.
Don't rush him. Okay. Starting to smell good. The onion picked up all the caramelized bits from the pork chops. The onions cooked through. I'm gonna dump the tomatoes in now. So now these are all whole tomatoes, right? And some people, when they're making sauce, will use a certain amount of whole tomatoes, maybe a little bit of puree. Some people maybe even use a little bit of tomato paste also. I don't really find it necessary. I like my sauce chunky, but I won't just leave those totally undisturbed. So what I'll do is I'll take the immersion blender, right, and just kind of give it a rough, just kind of poke around with it and kind of chop stuff up just a little bit. This right now, we can kind of wring this out. I'm just gonna dump that in there. And I'm gonna mix all this up. Might add a little bit of salt to this also. And these are just plain breadcrumbs. I know a lot of times people making meatballs, they'll use like Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. Bah. So this is a little wet. I'm gonna use some breadcrumbs just to dry it out a little bit and firm it up. You could feel it's so light. What you don't want is a big lead ball. I don't like to make them too big because then they just get kind of annoying in the sauce. So about that size. I mean, I could remember being a kid eating this at my grandma's. I remember my grandpa always liked the tomatoes to be pretty much left whole. Like, don't break them up or anything. Yeah, I mean, it's something like this. I mean, really, it's just a meal. But if my older daughter was here right now, you know, I'd have her rolling these out. And you don't think when you're younger, you don't realize how cool some of that stuff is. But as you get older, you realize the importance of, you know, kind of passing things on, carrying things on, and it brings back a lot of memories, and it's good stuff. Oh, oh, kid, that's good. That's beautiful. Aw, Vito, somebody feeling a little sentimental? No, I think I just, maybe from the onions, yeah. He's more sensitive than you think. Throw these in the oven. Little note to you guys out there, these pork chops are a little bit massive. You want them cut a bit thinner. These are a little on the thick side, but this is what we got. I'm gonna toss these in here. So it is smelling really good in here. I just took a look at the meatballs and they look done. Let's pull the tray out. Oh yeah, they look good. So let's cut into one, take a taste. How you like them balls in your mouth? They're good, Vito. Thank you. You can taste the parsley in them. Nice and fresh tasting. Not too much garlic, and the texture is great. They're nice and light. Let's drop them in the sauce. Vito, how's that garlic coming? Don't rush me. Hey, Jack LaLanne, your garlic's ready. Oh, it's ready. Okay, thank you, Vito. Don't mention it. Wow, how'd you slice it so thin? Yeah, a little trick that I learned. I got good with the blade when I was on the inside. Okay. What'd you go away for anyways? You remember that kid Rick? Rick? Nope. Good, me neither. Never mind, dude, forget I asked. Just give me the garlic. All right, now that it's practically done, but this will be cooking for the next probably 4 hours. So the sauce will pick up just a little bit of that garlic flavor. the lid on. That's basically it. Hey Vito, you wanna try a meatball?
Well, it took you long enough to ask, don't you think?
All right, let me get one for you. There you go, pal.
Thanks, kid. Let's see what we got here. Ooh.
You made this? What do you mean did I make it? You watched me.
No, I ain't see nothing. Where'd you say the tomatoes are from?
They're from California.
Okay. I'll allow that.
Oh yeah, lucky me.
You know, son? Good job, kid.
Thanks, man. All right, so that's been cooking for several hours. It's ready to eat. I'm gonna make some pasta, plate some up, and show you guys the finished product. While we're waiting for the water to boil, let's talk the nutrition facts of the meal. I'm not saying this is something I would eat all day, every day, when I'm dieting, etc. But, you know, to have as part of a special meal, to enjoy with family, I mean, what's the worst thing in it? I don't know, some bread and the meatballs. I mean, what do we got? 90% lean ground meat, some whole eggs, parsley, garlic, tomatoes, pork chops, onion, a little bit of olive oil. There's nothing bad, right? And as long as we don't go nutso with the pasta, we'll be able to hit a good protein number because all that lean protein on the pork chops. And fat-wise, we're really only looking at a little bit in the ground meat, which, to be honest, I'm not gonna sit down and have a big bowl of meatballs anyways. You know, maybe I might have one with the meal. And it'd be pretty satisfying to have some pasta, pork chop, it's gonna be all flavored by the sauce, one meatball. You're not looking at anything real bad here. So, you know, I think to be able to do it this way and still be within reason and enjoy yourself, I think it's a nice compromise. And you know, if this was gonna be used as a refeed meal, it's real easy because you get a certain amount of protein, right, with the pork. When you eat the meatballs, you're gonna increase the fat intake, but the protein's going up as well. And then you could pretty much carb load with the pasta. Not a bad meal at all. As long as you don't have a gallon of sauce, it's not gonna bother your stomach either. Just a little bit of sauce over that pasta and you'll be in pretty good shape.
Hey, don't forget to put the salt in the water. You gotta watch everything this kid does.
When you guys make pasta, it's done boiling, throw it back in the pot. Hit it with some olive oil so it doesn't all clump and stick together. Do yourself a favor too. If you got a gas stove, or even if you don't, find a way to heat up the bowls. You don't want to go putting hot food in a cold bowl and then it sucks all the heat out of it. Parsley. And that's it. The pork chops are at the bottom. These two bowls are for my camera people. It's gonna let the pork cook a little bit more till it falls apart a little extra, and I'm gonna have some of that later. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You know, whether it's this or something else, I think it's important that we all have something that we can share with our families and something that can be handed down, passed on, enjoyed together. And if it can help, you know, if it can fit your macros, then even better. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you again soon. Hey bro, you going home anytime soon?
I got some business around here. I might stick around for a little bit. What do you think of that?
Oh, God help me.